All right, good afternoon. Just finished up practice number 2. Just really thought our guys had a really, really good day today. Loved the energy. Thought we made a lot of progress from day 1 to day 2. A little bit different format. In the past, we've always gone back-to-back days. The Saturday, Sunday to start spring ball. Did a little different format. Thought it really helped us a lot. Got a lot of things corrected and cleaned up from day 1, and then actually added more than we usually add on day 2 because of that. And just thought it was a really good next step for us. And so excited by that progress, and just love the way our guys are working. The buy-in is really high, and just a lot of new faces, but a lot of great energy, and just got to keep getting better every single day. So just focus on fundamentals, like we've said, and that's a high priority, and just modification of our schemes, and just getting our guys, identified and their strengths and weaknesses on a daily basis, and keep seeing who makes plays. And so it was good. Both sides of the ball today, stepping up, making plays. So really excited about that. Got one more practice this week on Thursday, and then we'll take a break for spring break. So ready for questions.
All right, now we
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
I'm good, Matt. How are you, buddy?
I'm okay. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit last week with, the wide receiver spot being open. I guess, how have you guys handled that here through the first 2 practices as far as who's kind of running that group? But I'm sure it's not the ideal situation, but kind of how's that gone with, kind of an interim coach until you get your full-time guy in?
Yeah, it's been pretty seamless, kind of shockingly. I think big reason for that is Walt is really a receivers guy as well as a quarterbacks guy. Played the position, knows it inside and out, is extremely kind of gifted in that area. So more so than guys I worked with. So he's been meeting with them together. So basically that's been combined. Kyle, our GA at that position, was already going to be working with them anyways, and so he's with them, and so he's kind of their technical coach right now until we get the decision made here, which hasn't been made yet. But hopefully by the time we come back from spring break, that person, whoever that is, will be in place and will be coaching those guys in practice number 4. So he will not be here, obviously, until then. But bottom line is that that's how it's being handled, and Coach Bell's really done an excellent job with that. But they are meeting together, the quarterbacks and the receivers, and then he does some additional extra time with the quarterbacks, kind of one-on-one, to work through that to get those guys ready. But that's the way, from an organizational perspective, it's being done. And so just making use of our coaching staff and letting these young guys get a chance, and that's good for them too.
Dustin, Zach.
Hey, Tom. Obviously, Jabron Payne announced this morning that he was going to be decommitting, and he had his been granted a waiver from his letter of intent. I guess, what, if anything, can you tell us about that situation? What led to that decision from him, and you guys' decision to let him out of his letter?
Yeah, so he had reached out to us and had made that request, and so we had some extensive conversations about it, and something that he wanted to do, and I want guys that want to be here, and he made his intentions clear with all that, and we just talked it through, and so I just we make a decision with that, and like I said, I talked with our administration, and like I said, I want guys that want to be here, so I just went through that process, and it's a little bit of a different mindset and time on things, but that's kind of where we're at. And so bottom line is, we got a really good running backs room. We got 5 here on scholarship and that are here right now. And so excited about that group, but that's the decision that he and his family made. So we wish him well and moving on.
It's Tom, circling back to Wool, and I know that there's probably some things you're going to want to keep close to the vest with a new scheme and a new coordinator and everything, but I guess as he talks about it and visualizes it and talks you through it, what are the steps or maybe the kind of the big things he wants to hit in spring, the things he wants to be most confident about coming out of spring with that offense, whether it's quarterback play, it's installation, it's fundamentals, the things that he feels like we've got to check this off in the next, few weeks?
Yeah, probably all of the above. The things you mentioned, everything starts with quarterback play. So them being comfortable with the verbiage and the reads and the ability to work through that process, which is the daily thing, and a lot of extensive film study. And you really can't do it to the high level until you start practicing. And so now that we've got 2 practices under our belt, and the film that's going to come because of that, and then the film evaluation with the players once you break it down as a staff, and that's really where the growth comes, and just to me, just putting his entire personality on, our run game, and just I've not had a coordinator that's since I've been here that's been this involved in the run game in regards to just the way he approaches it and teaches everything, and it's just it's been really really good, and he's super involved in inside run, and he's really has a high level of energy and attention to detail, extremely bright, and just understands, he could coach every position on that side of the ball, which is a really rare thing to have. And so really been impressed with that. And so I think with that vision that he has for what we're trying to do on that side of the football, it's, it's multiple things that he's trying to get accomplished. And overall, you're trying to get the guys. And it was really, I think the difference between day 1 to day 2 was obvious, and the speed with which we were doing things and the execution, on offense, and just the knowledge that they've gained in the last 48 hours, because we didn't practice the very next day. I thought that was really huge. And actually, he was one of the ones, and Coach Hiller came to me and said, hey, I think it'd be wise if we, did it this way, this year as a different way because of some of the things we're doing different. So I think that was good. And so I think he has a vision for that. And then obviously, I think with him being able to be so involved with the receivers right now, that's kind of sped up their learning curve for the things that he wants to see them do and the reads and the different things we're doing with that. So I think that's been real super positive. And then obviously when you have the running backs with the new coach there, and that's been pretty seamless, So I just think that there's definitely a whole checklist of things that we're going through, and we've got an install that we're working through, and there's a whole lot of details of everything to the process of learning their offense and the verbiage and the ways we're going to make adjustments and communicate with those adjustments. So I think we're working our way through that checklist of items, and after 2 days, and I haven't watched the film yet, so I'll have a better feel in about 3 or 4 hours here. But right now, from seeing it live and in person there, I was just definitely pretty obvious that we made some real growth from 1 to 2. And he's a huge part of that, and every single coach on that side of the football. So we just got to keep working and just keep getting a little bit better every day.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned all the new faces in the program, and I know you're a guy that really focuses on leadership from a player standpoint, especially verbal leadership. Who are some of the guys that are really stepping up in that regard after a few practices here?
Yeah, I think defensively, and I'll kind of mention some new guys because, the ones that are supposed to. I tell you, a new one that's been here is Jalen Williams, just a guy that has continued to elevate his ability to now just not do what he's supposed to do the right way, which he did a lot of a year ago, and which really led to him having such a good 2021 season for him, even though he, had to play a ton of snaps, too many snaps just because of the injuries, but really grown into a verbal leader. And I think that's a big, big part of this. And I think Devon Matthews is another one, continues to grow in those areas. Those are guys that names you're not, that you are familiar with and not surprised by. I think Cam Jones continues to elevate his leadership, and that's been huge. But J.H. Tevis is one, I think, that sticks out to me as a guy that has, even though he's new, he's very articulate and a very bright young man and knows how to play the game. I mean, you can tell it's pretty quickly how much football he's played by how he plays in practice and the technique that he plays with and the effort, and he understands how you are supposed to practice. Miles Jackson is another one that's been a pleasant surprise to me, to be able to say, hey, this guy's really isn't afraid to speak, has earned respect, as I've already mentioned before, with our leadership council and being placed on there. And both those guys have been placed on there, and that's pretty impressive. And then I just think that the way they both practice is leadership in action, which has been awesome. And then offensively, I think A.J. Barner is one. There was a void left in that room when Peyton, graduated and is moving on to the NFL. But it's been a really, really great to see him step up as a leader, and we need him to, and I think that's a huge thing. DJ Matthews has really kind of changed his whole approach to being a leader in that side of the ball. Obviously, he's now the veteran guy. Didn't play a lot of snaps last year because of his injury, but was obviously playing very, very well when he did get hurt. But just seeing him lead and taking these guys under his wing and the things he's doing with those guys has been a major encouragement to me and much, much needed on that side of the football. I mean, Jack has continued to elevate his leadership. Connor started to, and he's a quieter by nature, but as every practice happens, every day that goes by, more and more comfortable with that part. And I know there's a special dynamic with that, being a guy that comes in new. I think Matt Bedford's one that's really elevated his leadership that needed to, and we're responding. He's responding to a challenge that we've given him as a staff, and we need him to be that guy for us. And so, but there's just really encouraged by the growth of some of these key guys that need to step up, with some other guys that have moved on and graduated and fill those voids. And still, we got a lot of new faces at the running back room, but man, there's some talent there it's really encouraging, and Sean Shivers is a guy that, and I watch him a lot, and he's got something to him more than just being a gifted athlete and running back. It's even in his leadership and the way he affects the guys around him. So guys like that have been huge. You feel really good about you bring them in new, and you see them already being extremely positive and strong in leadership, because those things are necessary. We got, like I said, all these new faces, and that's why these everything we do is critical as we build this team, and that's our focus, is to build the best football team and finish spring a better team than when we started, which is after today I feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Hey, Coach, thanks for the time.
You're welcome.
Speaking of DJ Matthews, how excited are you to kind of see him get implemented back in this offense and in the scheme under Bell, which is going to stretch the field, and a strong arm veteran quarterback like Connor, who looks to stretch the field as well?
I think I'm excited for him, and I think he sees it, and that's where, it's just a matter of, getting him back, getting him healthy, and he's I've known about old DJ for a long, long time. Recruited him out of high school, and I've known his high school coach since I was a 23-year-old high school coach. We coached against each other back in 1993. When he's still the head coach there. Which is amazing, Coach Dormany. But bottom line is that I've known about DJ, known he was a special player, and he and I spent a lot of time together. He's been through a lot. And he's got a lot to him. And so I'm excited to see him in this offense, excited to see him get healthy. He's working his tail off right now to get to that point, and he will be. And but yeah, I think the things that he can do well, we have a chance to be able to exploit. And that's a big thing for us, because it's about, your best players making plays and being able to score points and create those explosive plays that we know we have to have, that we struggled with so desperately, a year ago. So that to me is, I just expect DJ Matthews to be a huge part of that, and I believe that will come to fruition.
Tom, and then we'll recommend Matt.
Tom, I know at the end of last year, there were a lot of guys who sort of said, we probably could have worked harder in the fall. We probably could have worked harder in the spring. Coming off of that 2-10 season now, do you see a bit more of a sense of urgency with these guys, sort of a chip on the shoulder thing to just kind of make sure that we're not going to go through that again?
Yeah, I think that the guys that matter, that were here, and I could name, Cam Jones, Devon Matthews, Tywan Mullen, Jalen Williams, Matt Bedford, A.J. Barner, those guys that were a part of that. We've all met, we've talked. They're, extremely, upset about what happened, and determined that it isn't going to happen again. And matter of fact, they came to me and they wanted to have a players only meeting to start this whole semester. And I gave them, after I met with the leaders and went over how, just gave them some guidance, and they actually came to me with a whole PowerPoint presentation that they wanted to present to the players, and I met with them, went over the things and tweaked the things a little bit, and thought it was awesome, and so you can just see that those things that you said, just some little things that I think they felt like, some guys took some things for granted, prior to the season that, they wanted to make sure we never took anything for granted moving forward. And it's such a fine line, at this level when things don't go a certain way, So, but they felt that, and they've made sure that no one forgets it every single day, even in today's practice. Even though as good as it was for a lot of reasons, we still find ways to just get all over them and held them accountable and do extra stuff. And even Cam today, we did the extra running for not getting this or that, defensively. And then when that was done, Cam Jones stepped forward and said, "Coach, we're doing another one, just because." And I loved it. So I just think that's leadership in action once again, and those guys have been. And my thing is now, I'm like, okay, I won't hold you to this because you're right, and there's things we have to do, and so it's part of seeing leadership grow, and guys being able to have the confidence to speak up when they see something that they want to create a change with. And to me, that's what it's all about, is when it becomes internal and the leaders are the ones saying things and doing things and not from just the coaches. That's a good next step. So yeah, it's really critical, important, and the past is real, but it's not predictive unless you don't change your behavior or you don't change your daily habits. And so we're working hard to make positive changes to create different habits so we can get a different outcome.
Coach, you mentioned Matthew Bedford earlier. He's a guy that obviously came in and kind of was forced in early at left tackle, played right tackle, primarily guard last year. I guess without revealing too much, where do you guys see him this year? Do you think he stays a guard, or do you think you guys like him maybe going back out to tackle?
I think he has the ability to play both, which is he's shown that. I think he has his strengths at both spots. I don't know if you say he's better at one. I'd say probably, tackles are hard to find. So I would say probably, we're definitely working him there right now. He'll do both eventually to be able to stay sharp in both those areas. But it'll always be based on getting the best five on the field. So wherever combination we have to have for that, I couldn't tell you what that's going to be, week one, to start the season. But that is always going to be the goal. And so, but the good news is, like you said, and I don't think going back and forth is best for him as far as in the season. Once we make that decision, I think you just stay with it unless things just happen and you don't have a choice. But he does have that flexibility to do that. And I think and we sell him too on the fact that he understands he wants to continue to have that skill set that he knows he needs to have to play at the next level, which is position flexibility. And so that definitely helps him for his future. So we'll be playing the best five right now. He's at tackle, and we'll see how that plays itself out.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Awesome. Have a great day, Elio.